Drinking dirty Sprite out of clean glass. Baby girl got a mean ass, and she down for the tag team. But all she did was get teabagged. Let me play with your PlayStation. Let go of that Dreamcast. She suck dick with no knee pass. Always talk about she need half. You not tricky, you not tricky, get. Bing bong. Just one flick of the wrist. Shorty shaking her hips. It's a remix of a remix. Chop and screw like 3-6. My glow different, my dough different. Glow rilla with a T fix. Nah, blicky get. You know how blicky it get. You know how blicky it get. Shake your shit. You know how blicky it get. You know how blicky it get. Shake your shit. You know how blicky it get. You know how blicky it get. Shake your shit. You know how blicky it get. You know how blicky it get. Shake your shit. You know how blicky it get. You know how blicky it get. Shake your shit. You know how blicky it get. You know how blicky it get. Shake your shit. You know how blicky it get. You know how blicky it get. Shake your shit. You know how blicky it get. Shake your shit. Hey, shake your shit.
We good too. Yeah. Say no more.
First off, my brother that's on air with me right now. His name is Professor Akil. I actually asked Professor Akil to come to the Glocawear radio show. One because people sometimes talk about math. Sometimes it coincides with hip hop. If you listen to somebody that make it make sense. And the other thing, the reason that I brought him here is also because it's rare that you find somebody coming to a hip hop show and talk about math. People want to actually hear that.
Right.
I first want to say that Glocawear Radio is not a talk show; it's a radio show. And I knew it would be kind of intriguing for my brother Shab because he's a thinker. So, Professor Akil, if you could introduce yourself to people.
Yeah, so my name is Akil Parker. I'm a professor at Cheney University. I teach math classes out there. Prior to that, I was a high school math teacher right here in Philly for a long time. I used to teach right up the block at Del Val before Del Val got shut down. Well, actually, before I got fired from Del Val, it got shut down later. But I toured all around Philly, and I also started a company called All This Math. It started out as a math tutoring company, but then it grew into something bigger, and I started a YouTube channel because I'm really trying to bring math to the people, because it also changed the narrative around math, because oftentimes when we talk about math, it's something that it was a necessary evil. It was a class you had to take in school, but you really wanted to avoid it. Like a defense mechanism.
You by yourself, you gonna add on. We're gonna be like, I'm gonna call like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more people. That's the math. 20 more people. Yeah. Okay, continue. Yeah. It's math.
The thing, but and the thing about math is that if you don't understand it, then like somebody will lie to you in your face with a handshake and a smile, and you won't even know it. And you think they're doing you a favor, but if you don't understand how the math adds up, because people manipulate numbers all the time. And that's the relevancy of math. Because another reason I started the company and been going so hard with it is because throughout my career, the number one question is always like, out of frustration, is like, why I gotta learn this shit? What I need this for? What the fuck I need to learn this for, right? And then early in my career, I didn't have a lot of good answers for that. And I used to, early in my career, I used to hurt my ego, used to hurt my pride. I used to feel some type of way. But as I started to think about it and I got out of my feelings as a teacher, I realized that that's a really good question. Because you really need, as teachers, your responsibility is you need to answer that question, because you need to let the student know, like, what's the utility? Like, what is the purpose of me learning this? Or else you end up in a situation where you're just trying to kind of bully kids into learning something that they don't understand. So, in a lot of teachers, they need to understand math better themselves so that they'll be able to answer that question and show the relevancy. Because there's different answers for different people, based on like their background, based on what their goals are and everything. But yeah, it's a lot of different answers for that. It's a lot of different reasons that we can use math and math is really about, problem solving skills, 'cause that's really what it's all about. It's about like them word problems in math class is all about, it's training you how to solve problems. And that's something that transfers to every area of life because we all human beings, we all got problems. Life will never be perfect. But the difference is some people have the skills to solve problems and some people don't. So a lot of times when you see people snapping, getting angry, cussing people out, trying to fight, it's because they have no choice but to go to an emotional space because they don't have a systematic process to get what they want. They don't have a systematic process to analyze what's going on and understand what's going on and be able to figure out like, okay, this is how I can handle this or this is how I can get what I want because that's the goal. The goal is to get what you want and get what you need. But, one of the things that math teaches, like deep within, like all them equations that you might learn in your Algebra 1 class or your geometry class, especially geometry, because let me pivot a little bit because geometry is all about teaching people how to make a sound argument. Because you learn the formulas and you deal with the shapes and the triangles and the trapezoids and everything. But what it's really about is like teaching people how to make a cogent, like, valid argument, because you got to prove stuff. Like you can't just say, well, I feel like this, I feel like that. Like in math, it's always facts over feelings.
Right.
It's not about how you feel. Like you can feel how you want to feel, but, there should be facts that can substantiate your position that are verifiable by the laws of nature and the laws of the universe. But now we live in a time, we see this all the time on social media. People feel a certain way and, want to believe a certain thing and they just say it. And if they got a large enough following, then other people are just going to believe it as if it's the truth. But what a lot of times what they say makes no sense. So, but with the geometry, you doing geometric proofs, you say, okay, we give you this information and we want you to prove this. So then you got to go through steps to a process to prove this thing and then this thing and then this thing, and you end up with the final conclusion. Yeah, so because of all that, I proved to you just now that this means this.
Brother Akil, what do you say to somebody that comes to you and says, how does this coincide with hip hop? How does math coincide with hip hop?
So a couple ways. One thing that, it takes me back to, the 90s era, early 80s, 90s era when, the 5% Nation was a heavy influence on hip hop.
Okay. Talk about it.
With the, and I don't know a lot. I've never, I haven't studied, the mathematics, so to speak. But I just know hearing a lot of the language and, and the, just all the references to numbers and all of that. But again, like when you look at it from a musical standpoint, it's all about patterns. Math is the science of patterns. So music is just patterns. That's really all music is. It's just patterns. And like a matter of fact, I was tutoring the other day and I was talking to some young people about, we was doing work with composite figures. Now, what's a composite figure? A composite figure is like a block that might look like some Legos, right? Where you got like two 3D rectangles put together. And we had to find the volume of that, right? So that's what we was working on. And what I was telling them was like, these are called composite figures. So it's also a language aspect to that too, right? The English language is also connected to mathematics. When you think about the word composite, I think about composer, like a musical composer, a person that puts beats together, puts samples together, puts words together, all these different things. So in math, it's like we're dealing with, you got a composite, which becomes a song, but then also you got a composite shape, and we got to figure out, okay, well, what's the size of that 3D shape? Like how much area, how much space is inside that 3D shape? What's the volume of that? That's what we was doing, but that was a direct connection to that, to get them to understand conceptually. Oh, okay, this is all this. So like when I'm listening to my favorite song, if I try to concentrate, I listen to and I try to like deconstruct it and break up the parts of the beat.
Right.
Then I could say, okay, and then, okay, that's that. So really a composer's putting things together. That's what they're doing.
What resources do you have for the people that you put together on your own platform that can provide services to our elders as well as our youth?
So the main thing is the YouTube channel. So if you go on YouTube and you just type in all this math or the @ symbol and all this math, I have a YouTube channel where you'll see me. In some videos, my 11-year-old daughter is on there with me. We doing like different math problems. They're very simplified, detailed, and I also give Black history. I give Black history at the same time because that's one of my interests. And also what I noticed when I was in the classroom is that was another area that our young people are lacking in, because, you know, we as elders haven't taught them, and the school's not going to teach them, because the school doesn't want black children to know about black revolutionaries, because then they might become revolutionary themselves. So in the beginning of the videos, you might see me, you know, in a Malcolm X hoodie. So before I get into my lesson on how to solve this equation, we're going to talk a little bit about Malcolm X. You know, we're going to talk a little bit about one of his greatest speeches, The Ballad or the Bullet. I might mention another one of his speeches, Message to the Grassroots. You know, and then, so just to like drop them crumbs, so after you watch the video, be like, you know, let me look that up, you know. But so I got my math, but I got the history too at the same time. So you're gonna get that, so that it's the young people get homework help, but also, like I was talking to the system when I came in, one of my main things is also giving parents support, because for years I've been hearing parents, you know, making the valid complaints about the new math or the new ways that math is being taught. So I'm teaching them too.
1 second. Stop right there. Explain new math. Because, you know,
Good question.
That's we know old math.
Right.
So what's going on there? New math and old math.
So let me
how that come about? Like,
yeah. Well, let me say this. The term new math itself, I want to say, is actually a misnomer. So there really is no new math. What happens is that, like, 35.
Brother, I killed.
Yeah.
I gotta stop you 1 second. Please elaborate when you say misnomer. Please let our people know what that is, because that might fly past some people.
Misnomer means it's cap.
Yes, give it to me.
It's cap. It's
Okay.
a term that's basically cap, right? But it's used a lot. But the thing is, 35 years ago, when I was in elementary school, I might not have learned how to divide numbers a certain way, right? But that method of dividing numbers was available. It just wasn't taught to me in my school, or my math teachers didn't know it, or the curriculum that my school used, it wasn't included within that. So it's not, and a lot of stuff goes back to Africa. Our ancestors was doing this, right? Doing a lot of the so-called new math. These are methods that our ancestors was using back on the continent, right? Before chattel slavery and before the Mayafa and all that, right? So it's only new in the sense that we never saw it before, but it's been around.
Okay,
right?
got you.
But it's different methods of doing division. Instead of, like, so I learned long division when I was in elementary school, right?
Me too.
But it's other ways. It's like partial quotients method. It's the box method. It's all these different methods. Now, here's the thing. A lot of us kind of shy away from these different methods, and we get angry by it. But it's really because of our conditioning around mathematics. Because that's one of the only ways where it's like you don't want options. One of the only areas in life where somebody don't want options. Like, no, just give me the one way to do it. I want to learn that one way, and that's good enough. We talk about having multiple streams of income all the time. But then somebody say, well, listen, I'm going to give your child multiple methods of doing math. And then we we get angry. But I know why that is. That's psychological, right? That's conditioning. Because we've been taught to fear math. We've been conditioned to fear math and to hate math. So anytime you try to switch it up, you know, it's like it becomes different. But the so-called new math is like just different methods, and also different methods of thinking about problems especially you see it a lot on the elementary level. But what it does is it prepares children for algebra and geometry later on.
So is that why they did it? Why did they feel the need to put it in the curriculum? Like, they didn't do it with us, but they felt the need to put it in there. Like, I think it can, if it's done properly. That's another thing too, because it's often not done properly. It's not taught properly, because a lot of times the teachers are not trained properly in how to administer it, right? So the students end up not understanding it because their teacher didn't really understand it. Right. And then you got to factor in the idea that which I agree with. I had some elders tell me early in my career that you don't really start to know what you're doing as a teacher until you're 5 years in. Okay.
Like, you might be okay, but you don't really start to know what you're doing. And I can attest to that. Like, I look back, I'm like, yeah, I ain't know what the fuck I was doing. You know, I was doing the best I could.
Right.
Showing up and learning, but it was like on
Learning
the job training.
Right.
But I do think it can, if it's done properly, it can make the children more competitive. But again, it's got to be done properly, you know. And also, like I said, it helps to prepare them for algebra, because another thing a lot of students say is, and I always taught high school, and one of the popular things I would hear is like, students would be like, you know, yeah, I used to like math in elementary school, you know, it was cool, but when they started to put the letters in it, that's when I ain't like it no more, right? But that's because of the concepts are a little bit different. So now, the way the arithmetic is being taught, those concepts, those algebra concepts that we might not have saw it till 9th grade, and
Right.
algebra 1, they getting introduced like in 1st grade, 2nd grade. You know, they getting introduced early. So if we would embrace it and say, okay, well, this could be cool, you know, then, you know, we'd have a different approach to it. So, but one of the things also, like to your question, in terms of resources is I'm partnering with some principals around Philly, and I plan to go beyond Philly with this also. I'm going to be doing parent workshops where basically I'm trying to solve a problem. So, you know, because you got to listen to the people. You listen to the people will tell you what they need. So we hear the complaints about the new math, not understanding it, frustration, you know. So it's like people need to learn the new math. So it's like, but people that know the new math, we got to put ourselves out there and get out there and teach the people. Because a lot of times people always want to like be very negative about the black community, be very negative about black parents. You want to claim like people say things like, or to the effect, black parents don't care about education, black parents don't care about their kids. It's bullshit. A lot of black parents would love to help with homework if they knew how to do the homework.
True.
How you gonna help somebody do something you don't know how to do?
I ran across that. That's
if
why.
If you don't know how to swim, how you gonna teach somebody how to swim?
I got one other question. What do you say to, and this happens a lot in dealing with our students. This happens a lot in dealing with some of our teachers. What do you say to a teacher that has difficulty in reaching their student, especially when it comes to math? What do you suggest for a teacher that's trying to accomplish this?
I think they need to work to develop a better relationship with the student. Just listen to the student, ask the student some questions. You know, be vulnerable with the student. Tell the student some things about your personal life. Not too personal, but you know what I mean. Like your life, like where you from, what you used to do when you was their age. You know, some of your thoughts, and then the students will open up to you because a lot of it is like, you know, it's relationship. You know, you got to establish that in the classroom. I was a lot of my success in the classroom came from me emphasizing like developing relationships with the students first. A lot of administrators don't like that because they, you know, it's a high stakes testing environment. They want, you know, everybody to do well on the PSSA and the Keystone, and it's all this stress and everything. So they're like, first day of school, you got to like, you know, start with the curriculum. It's like, nah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. I can't teach you something if you don't know me. Why would you listen to me? Like education and learning is a very vulnerable activity. And in order to be vulnerable, you got to trust that person. If I don't even know you, I'm not going to trust you. Like I wouldn't even want to learn. I don't even want to, you know, necessarily ideally want to learn something from somebody I don't know. If I don't know you and I don't trust you, then why would I try to learn something from you? But once I start to get to know you, I'm like, okay, cool. Okay, she all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, all right. Now let me, you know, now I want to listen to you now. But we gotta get, and that's an ongoing process.
Right.
But we gotta get to know each other.
I asked you that question, Brother Akil, because what's happening a lot and what I've been seeing lately, I'm a part of a basketball league every Friday at Belfield Recreation Center, and I deal with a lot of students that face a lot of different challenges. And one of the things now is happening, it's playoff time, and I'm hearing that, you know, certain students, you know, are no longer on the team. Certain students can't play. A team is not able to play because they don't have enough players for this particular reason, dealing with academics. My issue is that, you know, not necessarily so much the student not being able to play, the fact that how is it this late in the school year when school is almost over and you got a young man and young lady that are dealing with this particular issue because that particular teacher, quote unquote, wasn't able to reach the particular student. And it didn't just happen recently. It's been happening all year because of the relationship not being there. So I'm glad you touched on that. My man Shab, I'm glad he was here tonight for this particular interview because he's going to ask you those intriguing questions. He's just one of those guys, and I know how his mind think. I've been knowing my brother for a number of years now. And I'm just glad that you had a message for our folks and you took time out your day in order to be here at Glocawear. Shaq.
Go ahead and plug your podcast and when they can get at you and Did you say you had a podcast? You working on a podcast or something?
Not yet.
No?
So we don't have a
Okay.
podcast
My
yet,
bad,
but
my bad.
that's coming though. That's you speaking in
See, there I go,
existence.
bang,
I
there it
I
is.
like that.
He has one. It's around the corner.
Yeah, but the YouTube channel, and this is something.
Oh, the
I
YouTube
want,
channel. That's what it is. All right,
the
bang.
YouTube channel. I want everybody to use this YouTube channel because I promise you, if your children use this YouTube channel on a regular basis, if they're taking Algebra 1 in school and they're in 9th grade, they're taking Geometry in 10th grade, they're taking Algebra 2 in the 11th or Pre-Cal in the 11th for the 12th, and they're not doing as well, they don't have the confidence, they will do better. I guarantee you. You know, just like if they can go on YouTube and watch videos from their favorite rapper and learn all the lyrics, you know,
Right.
and understand that lifestyle of that favorite, or at least the lifestyle being portrayed by their favorite rapper, then the same way they can go into the All This Math YouTube channel and understand their homework, understand what's going on in class. Because one of the benefits of that is, let's say your child's in school and your child doesn't like their teacher or they feel the teacher doesn't like them. Once you already understand the work and the content, you render the teacher irrelevant. The teacher becomes less relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But if I need you to teach me something, now you're very relevant. But if you come to me, and then you know the whole concept of like a lot of people don't have never had black teachers, or don't have as many black teachers, don't have black male teachers.
Right.
You might not see a lot of black men doing math. Another reason I'm very motivated to put this out there and promote this is because oftentimes in the media we only see one type of black man. We don't see the black man that's the mathematician. We don't see the black man that's the engineer. We don't see the black man that can really do like pre-calculus and calculus.
Right.
We don't see that. So young brothers think like that doesn't exist, right? Young
Right.
sisters think that doesn't exist.
Right.
So that affects their worldview. So we gotta like try. It's like, you know, Elijah Muhammad said with the clean glass and the dirty glass. If you only see the black man doing these negative things, you'll think, okay, well that's just what we do, right? Because not enough of us that are, you know, people gonna do what they do, but not enough of us that are doing different things are putting ourselves out there in the forefront and being seen. And that's why I wanted to come on here, because like, you know, a lot of math teachers not gonna come in a spot like this.
There you
know?
go, baby.
So but I'm comfortable in spots like this. Like matter of fact, early on, this felt like, you know, when I was, you know, how my classroom used to be during lunchtime. Like the kids would come hang out, everybody chilling. I mean, you know, some of the activities wouldn't be taking place, but you know, it's the same vibe though.
There's another thing. All right. So what made you become a math teacher? Like bam. What that?
Couple things. So I was leaving one job as a bank examiner with the FDIC. That wasn't a good fit for me, so I left that. I needed a job. I had a baby on the way. My son Naseem, shout out to him. He's 17. He's about to graduate from Carver. He's going to North Carolina A&T.
Shout out. There you go.
Decision day just passed, so he chose North Carolina A&T.
Congratulations.
I'm proud of that brother. But he was on the way, and you know, the way I was raised, I'm like, you know, I gotta support my child. I got a baby on the way. I gotta be able to support my child. You know, I wasn't gonna just sit back and be like, well, you know, his mom got a job. You know, he'll be cool.
Right.
So, and also I was told, and this is still true to an extent, that you know, they're always looking for black males to teach math because there's such a shortage. There's a shortage of black male teachers already. But then when you get into mathematics and the STEM disciplines, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, it's even more of a shortage. So people told me like, you know, you should try that out. So I was like, all right, cool. So I, this is back in like 2005. I sent my resume out to a lot of charter schools. I started out in the charter schools because I was told that they're not as stringent. I wasn't certified. Of course I wasn't certified because I wasn't an educator already. So I just, you know, and I got hired by the school, another school that's no longer here, World Communications Charter down in South Philly.
Okay.
Well, they say it's South Philly, but it's Broad and South, right on South Street. It used to be on the corner. The building is still there, but the school's been shut down for a few years now. That's where I got my start as an official teacher. Prior to that, I was a long-term substitute up at Kensington and Allegheny. Kensington and Lehigh, where Mariana Brissetti used to be at, where Sankofa Charter is now, in that building on Kensington. But yeah, that's why I became a teacher. I needed a job, and I also I was good at math generally throughout my whole my whole elementary, middle, and high school experience. But I also didn't want to be one of those elders that just complained about the youth without providing any guidance to the youth, because the youth do what they're taught. Right. And a lot of times, and another thing is like with being in the schools and really looking closely at what goes on in the schools, when you see all the shiftless behavior and negative behavior exhibited by the youth that you see in the media and on social media, those children are being taught to behave that way in a lot of these schools. They're being that behavior is being nurtured. That's Carter G. Woodson miseducation of the Negro that takes place in these schools every single day. So that's why one of the things I also preach is as black people, we need to start our own independent schools. And if we can't have a whole big school like as big as, some of these schools that are in existence, we got to have educational spaces, whether it's in somebody's basement, somebody's dining room table, on the corner, on the block, just like, because and we got to do it. Because, like, I remember, I'll never forget, like, when I taught at Overbrook for 2 years. It was a young brother who used to come in my class. He wasn't even my student. He would just come in my class. He was like in special ed. So, special ed students kind of get to do whatever the fuck they want, right? Don't nobody say nothing, right? So he used to let him come in and chill, right? He's always over here telling stories to his friends. Like, yeah, my old head told me this. My old head told me this. It's like, my old head told me this. My old head told me this. And I said, damn, if I had a quarter for every time he said my old head taught me something. So I said, damn, like, and again, this speaks to why I created the channel. What if his old head could have taught him trigonometry? Right. What if his old head could have sat down with him and helped him with his geometry homework? Like, that's what I want our community to be able to do, because then if our community can do that, if we can do it on our own, then that's going to change the outcomes. That's going to change a lot of the outcomes.
Brother Akil, plug your platforms that you can be reached on.
All This Math on YouTube, All This Math on Instagram, Facebook, All This Math on TikTok. My daughter, she's 11. She told me I need to get on TikTok to reach the young people. So I got a couple TikTok videos up there, but I got to do some more and be more consistent with it. Also, allthismath.com. So definitely, All This Math is a movement. We're trying to change the narrative around mathematics. And we want our people to, be able to learn math and not fear math. Right. And look at math as a tool, as a viable tool, as opposed to something to try to avoid. So go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, tell everybody about the YouTube channel, tell them to use it. Everything is broken down into different playlists by topic, so your child will know what topic they working on.
So, and what's the name of it? All This Math on Facebook?
All This Math on Facebook, All This Math on YouTube. It's everything. Everything is All This Math.
All This Math. There we go.
Let me say this, Chad, before we go. First, want to give a shout out to Professor Akil for taking time out of his day, joining us over here on the Glocawear radio show.
Yes, sir.
First off, I want to give a shout out to Tucan Shab and Shab Bananas for allowing us to come on the platform and talk about math, because we know we're a strictly radio show. But I appreciate my brothers opening their door for me anytime I need to bring somebody through. Look around and see what's going on. You got Glocawear merging right here, right now with my man, Brother Akil, who's bringing to you All This Math. So I'm just going to leave you in the words of my man Shad from many years ago that I remember him used to say when we was coming up. Do the math, nigga.
Do the math. Do the math.
Do the math.
Exactly.
Do the math.
And I want everybody to be able to do the math and
that's
know,
what we're talking
know
about.
how to do the math and do it correctly, because that's things got to add up. And that's another quick point I want to make. A lot of us, we already be doing math. We already understand the math. We just don't know that we're doing it. Like a lot of activities, like when you trying to decide, if I cross the street right now, will this car run me over? That's a mathematical calculation.
That's right.
We don't even know that.
That's a mathematical calculation. When you driving, like can I bang this left before this other car? Is this car gonna hit me? That's a mathematical calculation. That's the distance rate time formula. You using that. That's in your mind. It's innate. But again, when we in class, we don't know how to write it down.
Right.
So what I'm trying to teach you is like take what you already know, what you understand, what's innate to us, especially as people of African descent. Our ancestors discovered all this. This is in our DNA. It's in our DNA. The Europeans they write the textbooks. So they renamed everything and named it after like Pythagorean theorem. Pythagoras studied in Africa under our people. But they named everything though. Right? So it's like I'm not mad. Okay, you want your people to think that y'all did it, but we really did it. So we can rename it, and name it after ourselves too.
There you go. I mean, you dropping science. That's a whole nother show. Yeah. We got that too. We can do that one too.
Professor Akil, I take my hat off to you, man, for being one of those brothers that, you stand out from a lot of other men that choose not to step up. When you heard about you was going to be on the show, we talked about it very briefly. I must say you were very adamant about being here. We appreciate it because my brother has a message, man. Look at this black brother here, and you talking about a strong black brother that has a message for our people that's trying to educate us. So do whatever you can to support this brother, and thank you for coming again.
Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
There it is.
There it is.
The Glocawear Radio Show. This is what we do each and every Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Salute to you and yours. Follow Glocawear on Instagram.
Please do. We're not done. We're
We're
still
not
rocking
done.
on the air. Tucan Sam.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
get it popping, baby.
You already
And thanks
know.
to our guests coming out. All this math, we got to add it up. We got to get the math.